Well, thank you, Alyssa, for that very kind introduction. I am very interested in technology issues. My son, who graduated from college just 2 years ago, works for Facebook. So I had to make sure that as I was waiting here to come up and speak, that I tweeted that I was here before the Clare Booth Luce Police Institute to talk about your conservative leadership program. And it's a pleasure to be here with Governor George Allen and our great First Lady of Virginia, Susan Allen. They have been a great team for Virginia and will be again in the future. And it's a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to talk to you. When I think about those technology issues, I have to laugh. Years ago, Yahoo named me the most internet-friendly member of Congress, and I was very proud of that. And I went home and I told my son, this was about 10 years ago, he was about 14 at the time, and I said, Bobby, guess what? Yahoo just named me the most internet-friendly member of Congress. And I'll never forget it. He was sitting at his computer screen. He looked at me and he said, gee, Dad, that's sad. Like, if you're the most internet-friendly member of Congress, the Congress has a long way to go. Well, we have come a long way, particularly on the Republican side of the aisle, where we are very proud of the fact that we have been engaged in using new media in a whole host of different ways. And that's the first thing that I want to mention to you. We have now launched the most advanced interactive new media outreach to American citizens to talk about what the agenda of our country should be, not just in the future after future elections, but right now in this Congress. There's no need to wait until there's a change. There's always a need for new ideas and good ideas here in Washington. Some of you may recall or have heard about the Contract with America, which we launched when the Republicans gained the majority in the Congress back in 1995 and passed many, many pieces of legislation. In fact, 27 of the 28 bills that were offered were passed into law. Now, this time, we think we should do a different approach. We think that we should be reaching out to the American people and listening to them. So if you haven't already heard about it, write it down. One of the most interesting websites you'll find on the internet, americaspeakingout.com. Americaspeakingout, all one word, .com. Check it out, and you'll find that there's just a tremendous opportunity for you to interact with members of Congress, to offer your ideas about what the future of our country and what this Congress should be doing with regard to legislation, and I hope you'll check it out. I also wanted to talk to you today about what I think is the number one concern facing our country today, and that is the enormous debt that we are leaving to you, our young people in this country. I hope you're having a great experience here in Washington. I hope you will take what you are learning here back to your college campuses, back to your communities, back to the people who need to know what you're learning about here, because we really rely upon you to spread the word. And this is the word I want to impart upon you. The greatest success that President Obama has had from his standpoint, great failure in my opinion, but the greatest success from his standpoint is the passage of the health care reform legislation. There are many, many reasons, in my opinion, why that is very bad legislation. It sets up more than 150 new government agencies and programs. It mandates things that I think are unconstitutional, that American citizens would have to buy health insurance from a private health insurance company and have to buy insurance that the government will essentially dictate what that insurance is going to look like. So I've joined in with a number of other members of the House in signing on to an amicus brief. That's a brief that supports the effort of the Virginia Attorney General, Ken Cuccinelli, to try to have that provision in the health care bill struck down as unconstitutional. But the number one reason that I think that this legislation is bad is we simply cannot afford to make additional promises to the American people that the federal government simply cannot keep. We have right now many, many programs here that benefit many American citizens that are on automatic pilot, and they are going to cost far more than the government has the ability to raise revenues to pay for. And when I talk to young people, I ask them two questions. One, who's going to have to pay for this? And invariably they know the answer. They know that it's going to be on their shoulders. What they often do not know is how much money we're talking about. You know, the economic stimulus package that I voted against cost close to $1 trillion. By the time you add in the money in the budget to pay the interest on it, it's about $1 trillion. The health care bill, the president claimed would cost about $1 trillion. Actually, most people now, as all the figures are coming out, and we're seeing that there are many underestimates of the cost and many ways that they cook the books, it's going to cost between $2 and $2.5 trillion over the next 10 years. The budget deficit for last year was $1.4 trillion. It's going to be about that amount again this year. And the president offered a budget earlier this year for next year. Now, next year actually here in Washington starts on October 1st of this year. But the federal budget deficit for next year is projected to be $1.6 trillion. We're expected to take in about $2.2 trillion in revenues and spend $3.8 trillion. We're going to spend 70% more money than we take in, and all of that additional money will have to be borrowed and added to our national debt, which already totals more than $13 trillion. And it's borrowed from Japan and China and the Saudi sheikhs and a whole lot of other people, and the creditworthiness of the United States is very much being called into question. But the question I ask young people is, so we've talked about all these trillions of dollars. How much is $1 trillion? You know, about 45 years ago, Governor Allen recalls there was a Republican leader in the Congress by the name of Everett Dirksen, and he was widely reported to have said, $1 billion here, $1 billion there, pretty soon you're talking about real money. Well, actually, that's not what he said. He actually said, and this was just 45 years ago, he said $1 million here and $1 million there, pretty soon you're talking about real money. So in just 4.5 decades, we progressed from talking about millions of dollars being a lot of money to billions of dollars being a lot of money, and now trillions of dollars. So how much is $1 trillion? I asked some of the students, if you had a stack of $1,000 bills 4 inches high, how much money would that be? Well, if that's nice, freshly printed, tightly packed $1,000 bills, most people have never seen a $1,000 bill. I'm not even sure they print them anymore. 4 inches high, that would be $1 million. So then I said, how high would that stack of $1,000 bills have to be to total just $1 trillion? Not the $13 trillion that we owe, but just $1 trillion. And one young lady raised her hand. She said, would it be about 12 inches? And a fellow in the back of the room laughed. And he said, no, it'd be more like about 20 feet. Well, those of you who understand mathematics a little better know that a billion is 1,000 times a million, and a trillion is 1,000 times a billion, or 1,000,000 times $1 million. That's $1 trillion. So that stack of $1,000 bills that would be 4 inches high for $1 million would have to be 4 million inches high for $1 trillion. Now, 4 million inches divided into miles works out to 63 miles high. Imagine a stack of not $1 bills, but $1,000 bills stacked up 63 miles high. That reaches all the way up into outer space. And that is what this administration is doing, and that is why we are working very hard to get the support here in the Congress to cut back on government spending, not increase it, not set up new entitlement programs like this health care bill, but come up with the votes so we can try to repeal that legislation and replace it with common sense reforms that aren't even in that bill, like medical liability reform to cut down on the amount of defensive medicine that doctors and hospitals order up each year that costs tens of billions of dollars and adds tremendously to the health insurance premiums that they have. So those are the kind of things that we need to be doing here. And we need to be forming a new framework here in Washington in which government can operate. Instead of this out-of-control situation where when the economy looks bad or there's a great program out there, people in Washington simply pass those pieces of legislation. They're kicking the can down the road right at you and people who have not even been born yet in terms of the burden that's going to fall on your shoulders. So I like what former Majority Leader Dick Armey said to me recently. He said, I'm tired of people saying, let's think more outside the box. He said, it's time that we started thinking inside the box, inside the limitations that our government has on what our Constitution says our federal government should be doing, and in terms of the amount of money that's available to us to spend. And so that's why in each of the last two Congresses I have introduced balanced budget amendments that have very wide bipartisan support, and which actually passed the House of Representatives, getting the two-thirds majority required on a number of occasions, and which have also come within one vote of passing in the United States Senate. Had that occurred and been sent to our states for ratification, by now we would have a balanced budget requirement in our United States Constitution, and we would be doing much, much better. I know we've got some other great speakers who are coming, so I hope you're having a great experience here. I see that Michelle Bachmann, my great friend, is here, and I hope that she'll be participating in this as well, and that you will take back our message that there are great conservative ideas here in Washington, but we also need more great conservative ideas from you. So go to americaspeakingout.com, get into the participatory mode, tell your friends about it as well, and let's take back America and have a government that is founded on our Constitution and limited in its scope. Thank you so much, and God bless each and every one of you.